Satya Nadella shows up at Xbox and discusses what he thinks about the brand. We have a first look at GDC and just kind of what Xbox is going with here for how they're presenting the brand to developers, which it seems like it's a different presentation than what we have seen over the last number of years. There's some other information about a new studio, a game that potentially may not make it that was shown off recently that looks really cool. So hopefully that does end up coming, and a couple of other things to go over. But before we do, if you do enjoy daily gaming news and content, please subscribe, share, like, all of that. Let's get into it. So the weekend brought us a lot of rumors and a lot of stuff that just ended up being untrue. We even saw a leak from 4chan about the developer side with Helix OS and everything. All of that got disproven as being incorrect and false. So there's going to be a lot of this stuff that does pop up over the next number of weeks, and hopefully some of that can be put to rest by the end of this week for information coming out at GDC. I wonder if that will rest on leaks from people that are there, or if there will be some transparency as to Xbox just basically telling us more about Project Helix and the development side and how games are going to function across the PC side versus the Xbox console side, because I think that is one of the biggest questions that people do currently have. The other thing that we were hearing about was the whole blank check stuff, which clearly was not correct either. But now we actually have some more information on what Satya Nadella actually did say when he was at Xbox at their town hall and discussing the future of the brand. So there's some interesting things here. He's being very, very positive on Xbox. The main question you keep in mind when you listen to Satya Nadella talk is he telling the truth, or is he just trying to kind of reduce the fear that some people may have with change in leadership, which always comes. You always are going to question, okay, what does this mean for the future of the brand? What does it mean for the future of the division and for the future of a lot of these people's jobs? What we are hearing right now is that there is a new energy, a good energy surrounding Xbox based off of everything that is going down. But Windows Central, just according, they put out exactly what basically was said here at the Q&A. So there's nothing about a blank check, but it says here, Xbox CEO Ashish Sharma hosted Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella in an internal Q&A, amplifying that Microsoft will always invest in gaming. And he says, we're long on gaming and we'll continue to invest and we'll always do so. If you're an Xbox fan and you take those words for face value, that's very encouraging and very exciting for the brand, the console, the division not going away anytime soon, which I never at any point thought that was the case. You just looked at their numbers, the amount of money they were making, even though you go on social media on a daily basis and you still see people trying to spin that the console is dead and Xbox is going away, because the reality is these people want it to go away. It's good for their own personal brand, for their own social media, for their own YouTube channel. The more that Xbox deteriorates, the better it is for them. But they're not telling the truth, because I don't think Xbox is going anywhere. Now, here are some of the things that were said. Asha Sharma introduced Satya Nadella, and she says, there are core identities in this company. I don't think Microsoft will exist without these identities continuing to thrive. We're a platform company, a developer company, being a knowledge worker company in gaming. These are the main identities of what Microsoft has always meant and will always mean. Therefore, we need to take that. We don't take it for granted. We need to renew it. I'm really thankful to Matt Booty, Phil Spencer, and Sarah Bond, and all of you who have built this franchise into its 25th year. It's a huge year for Xbox. Like, we're seeing the games that are going to be coming out. We're going to see the evolution of the platform itself. The user interface is one of the major things that people want to know more about. And I think we're getting a glimpse of it with cloud gaming, with the upgrades that they have done right now that is in testing, as well as the full screen experience where you'll eventually start seeing your console games land into that. And I think they're going to bring that over to a multitude of devices. Like the Xbox Project Helix is going to be that reference device, but I think at some point in the future, you're going to get all of your console games on your PC as well, which to me is an awesome prospect to see here, because that is the main thing missing right now from the whole integration. Xbox Play Anywhere is great as more games are dropping into it, and you can see that they're preparing for the future and new games that release not really have that issue of, is it on the console or is it on PC? But then they eventually got to bring everybody's back catalog over, which will be an awesome thing. Goes on here to say, Sharma talking about Satya Nadella, thanking him for the opportunity and all of that. They talk about Nvidia and how it wouldn't be around with gaming. And then they talk about the very important stuff here. It says here, that's why I'm long on it. And he's talking about video games, like the gaming division. This is Satya Nadella speaking. Phil, he's always talked to me about how gaming is the largest entertainment category. What is gaming in its most expansive form going forward? This doesn't mean we walk away from people that are doing it today. When we think about a AAA game on a console, the question is about where else can we go to extend that. For me, we're long on gaming. We'll continue to invest and we'll always do so. It's up to this team to show an excellence in execution and creativity. Software always carries risk, but this is software with lots of creation risk. It's way different, but yet we have to be best in class at it. So those are words that are very good words. They are, what he says here, long on gaming, meaning that they are going to continue to build this company out, build Xbox out, and it shouldn't be going anywhere anytime soon if you're taking his words for face value. And also if you're just kind of looking at them and what they've already invested in the Xbox division, to shut it down now would make absolutely zero sense whatsoever. They're still making a lot of money off of it. So all of the doom and gloom around that, even after they announce a new console, to me is just kind of wild. The other thing he does talk about here, which I think is very, very important, especially right now, because you have a lot of people waiting and thinking, what is happening here? And that is having to do with the fans want to do. Some of the core fans, what are they looking for in gaming? And he says this, I want us to keep rediscovering that moment, the game people love, the consoles and systems people love, and really just doing the best we can as a company. So again, he mentions the console there. And he says, that's it. And that's all I want us to do. And he closes here saying, for those fans who have counted on us, I just want to make sure that we live up to what they expect of us. I know there's a lot of feedback. Believe me, I'm on Twitter too sometimes, but I really think it's that passion, though, that they have. This is the base of folks who just want us to do a fantastic job of really doing what we're meant to do as Team Xbox. So he basically admits that he's reading the feedback, and there's been just, it's such a spectrum of feedback on Twitter. It's hard to see what people truly want as a collective, but the reality is people want consoles still, people want good games, and they still, I think what Xbox has built out here with their access and their ecosystem, people want that as well. I don't think taking away any of the ecosystem, take away any of the access, which they're not going to do, but if they somehow decided, yeah, we're going to take that money that we've invested in cloud and the PC side and the whole Xbox ecosystem and just throw it all into console and exclusivity, I don't think that's going to work out for them in the long run, which that's not what they're going to do, but they need to make sure that the Xbox ecosystem is the best place, and they have to put that focus back on the console as one of the best places to play within that ecosystem, which is what it sounds like they are moving towards. And I think GDC is going to show us a lot more of how that is going to work. In fact, we are finally getting a glimpse here as to what we can expect this week. And it's interesting because I think this kind of shows a completely different brand image that we have seen over the last number of years, or at least a more focus on Xbox, the platform, the console, and building games for the Xbox devices. Specifically, we have this here from Lord Cognito out at GDC and dropping the goods here with some pictures of the setup of Xbox and what you can see. So first of all, you have this one here. The slogan, I think that people will like a lot better than this is an Xbox. I think this is already a huge improvement for most people. It says build what's next. Build for what's next. The future of Xbox starts now. And then they have the Xbox 25th anniversary logo right beside it. And then you have the next picture here, and you can see the booth that they have set up here where people at GDC get to go in and look at it. And then obviously they're going to have discussions and everything. The future of Xbox starts now. They have build for Xbox, connect to any platform, and reach millions of players. So basically really focusing on building the games for the Xbox platform itself. And I would assume Project Helix is going to be the main thing that they are focusing on, and the development barriers that we have heard that they're going to be going over here at GDC, because that is going to be a massive, massive thing for them. It's convincing developers that building your game for Xbox is going to be easier than building it in other places, and you're going to be able to save development costs and make more money because you build it once and you're reaching a far bigger crowd of people and a growing crowd of people rather than just building it for the console, which, as we know from the numbers, it is a stagnant market. In fact, it could be a decreasing market going forward, especially as console prices do start to increase. So this will be very enticing, I do believe, here for Xbox. And then the next thing they have here is just the history of the box, the console, going from the OG to 360 and all of that. And they highlight all of the games and launch games and stuff, I believe, here, showing it off. They even have the Kinect in there. So very cool stuff. I do think that there is a different focus here at GDC. You can tell just by the booth and what they're going for. And I'm sure we'll hear more about this as more information comes out, as people return throughout the week and start talking about the things that they saw and the things that they did talk about. And I really hope we get to hear more about Project Helix. Developers can understand how this thing is going to work, because you saw that whole debate. It's absurd. You go online and you see people talking about how the games are going to run, emulation and backwards compatibility and stupid things like that. Emulation is how backwards compatibility runs across PlayStation. It's how it runs in many places. The reality is they're building a console. Are the games going to run well? And are they going to perform good on it? If the answer to that is yes, that should be really all that matters to gamers. The people still out there just want to get some win about Xbox being dead. I know I've harped on that over the last few videos, but it's kind of crazy, because I think this is exciting, and for some people it just doesn't seem to be exciting at all. Now, one thing I will say that could take away from some of the excitement, but at this point it is expected, and we've seen this across the industry. Prices are going up. I know we've heard some thoughts about the PlayStation 6 and what they're going to sell that console at. I think the floor price is $750, or at least the minimum $700. They're not going to go out there and sell the PS6 less than what they're selling the PS5 Pro at. The next Xbox, I think, could cost upwards to $1,000. But you could also cross your fingers and hope that Xbox sees this as a growth potential to try to get more PC people in it, subsidize the cost of Project Helix, and then sell it at a lesser price and be in better competition price-wise to the PlayStation 6. I think that would be a huge advantage and a huge win for them if they were to do that. But right now, the projections are costing between $1,000 and $1,200. This is from a report. Again, this is just rumors as to what people think. This is specifically from Moore's Law is Dead, saying maybe they're wrong, but I don't think they are. I think Sony's going to for a more PS4-like approach next gen. And Xbox is, well, they're building a bridge out of the console market, so they'll probably charge $1,000 or more for this thing. And he says, I have a document that directly says AMD wants their successor to the 9070 XT that uses RDNA 5 AT2 die. And AMD has directly said in a document that they're targeting 550. Now, who knows what that really means, where prices will be. Maybe they'll end up at 650 next year. But if the graphics card itself, which uses the same chiplet Helix uses, and uses the same type of RAM, let's say it's 600, well, then what? You need to add more RAM for the Xbox. All right, well, what would that really be like? Another 200 there. The CPU die for the Xbox is more expensive than obviously the output die that would be in the graphics card, but even then, you know, it's not that big of a die, even though it's 3 nanometer, another $100. So this is assuming they're not taking any loss, and they're not going to subsidize at all, which is what we have heard. That's kind of what they want to do going forward, where this will be a console for the people that really want to play on an Xbox console and want to get the premier best experience out there, and you'll be paying for it. So that will be one of the things that will determine, I think, how well this thing does end up selling. But again, I think this also plays across PlayStation 2, because I think their PS6 is going to be expensive as well. The one thing we are seeing, though, handhelds, far less power. Obviously, you get the functionality of taking it on the go, but people are buying these at over $1,000 price point. So there is a market for it, but how big is that market, and what are people's thresholds for how much they would want to spend on a console? A question, once we get the official price, will be interesting to see how that does end up getting answered. The other thing, Project Helix, it's a pre-built, you can compare it to a pre-built PC that gives you console as well, which is functionality that will not be available anywhere else. And to me, that's a huge differentiating factor. And some people may look at that and think you're getting way more value out of this, even at $1,000 versus going and buying a pre-built PC for like 1,500 plus. That's another thing that they will have as an advantage. So we're in the very early days. I just kind of like thinking about this stuff and talking it through, because it's going to be interesting how this does unfold going into the next generation. All right. We have a couple of other stuff here, things to go over. So there is one game here that was shown off, and I believe this was at the Game Awards, that looked absolutely phenomenal. And this is from Nagoshi Studio and Gang of Dragon. If you remember that, it was like this gangster game based in Japan, had a very cool trailer that a lot of people were excited about. And it looks like this game may not even make it out based off of funding being pulled here by NetEase, which is extremely, extremely unfortunate. It says Nagoshi Studio reportedly facing closure after NetEase pulls Gang of Dragon funding. And this is according to Bloomberg. Employees of Nagoshi Studio were told on Friday that NetEase intends to cut off funding for Gang of Dragon, which was announced at the Game Awards 3 months ago. And I mean, they're going to be pulling it in May. You have to think why they would end up doing that. Maybe the game isn't progressing as well as it should be, and they don't think it's going to be successful, so they're getting out early, and which could lead to this game just never making it out. They say here that they are seeking additional funding to continue developing the project, but has had no success so far, and neither NetEase or Nagoshi Studio has responded to the claims. And again, it was announced here in December that it was deep in development. So very unfortunate. I want to see this game come out. I thought this was one of the best looking games that we did see at the actual Game Awards. So it would be extremely unfortunate if that just ended up not dropping. As a, like, you look at it, it looks awesome. It looks like it would be a game that would sell very well. But are there a bunch of issues in the development cycle that NetEase just doesn't want to invest any more money in? So we'll see what happens here. I mean, if you're a big publisher, you're Xbox, you're a huge publisher, you have the funds, this could be a good one to invest into. Get it into Game Pass day one, and that will bring more people over to the service, into the platform itself. Shinji Mikami, as we know, he left Tango Gameworks, and he was one of the best out there. Where was he going? Opening up his new studio and everything. We have a bit more information here. His new studio is Unbound, and it is building a AAA original IP for consoles and PC. This is the Resident Evil 4 director, left Tango Gameworks in 2023. This was after the acquisition of Bethesda when Xbox did purchase them. He opens up here Unbound Games, and yeah, they're going to be making a new game. Have around 50 employees. They say it's aimed to expand around to 150, and described as a fully independent company developing high-end consumer games, creating original AAA titles. And according to the job listing, they will be building original IP project powered by Unreal Engine 5 for PS5, Xbox, and PC. And it has aspirations to work on smaller scale titles concurrently in the future. I can't wait to see what he does come up with, because he's going to be something good. You can pretty much bet that. He's always really knocked out of the park. So cool stuff there. Unbound, his new studio, building a new AAA game. And finally, we have a leak here of Minecraft Dungeons 2. If you're a fan of Minecraft Dungeons, the first one, well, there's going to be a new one coming out, it does look like. Mojang has been developing the sequel called Project Spicewood, which has been in development for about 3 years now. And this is some of the artwork for the game. Looks very similar to the first one, of course. Probably a new dungeons, new characters, new enemies, story, all that type of stuff. So rumored to be targeting Q2 2026 release. But on the video there, guys, if you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in next video.